You're listening to Comic Reflections, episode 199. I'm your host, Nicholas Prom.
And I'm Spencer Valadez.
Comic Reflections is brought to you by The Outhouse. You can find our show and many cool, enlightening articles about nerd culture at theouthousers.com. If you enjoy our show, please subscribe to us on either iTunes or Stitcher.
Also, our buddy Sean is here, our resident troll.
I'm not a troll.
You look like a troll.
Usually.
You guys. So, just want to apologize now and forever for all the sexist things that Jeff says on episodes of the show in earlier episodes throughout the week. He's old and he won't change.
It's true. It's very true.
Oh my God. Anyway, today we are going to talk about, continue our talk about Essential Supervillain Team Up. Volume 1 of the only volume.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not a multi-volume set. But anyway, and the first story we're going to talk about is from Astonishing Tales number 7, which is from August of 1971. The story is called And If I Be Called Traitor, written by Jerry Conway, penciled by Gene Colan, and inked by Mike Esposito.
Yep. And it's basically the continuation of where we left off last week.
Yes,
or 2 weeks ago.
Yes, 2 weeks ago, but that tends to happen with comic books and serialized stories.
Right.
Crazy, I know.
Yeah. Yeah, so...
Oh, jeez!
Okay, jeez.
Leave Spencer alone. He's a nice boy.
I'm like, this isn't your first podcast. Just start going.
Okay, fine. We have Dr. Doom, and he's kind of invaded Wakanda with his super drilling machine. And Black Panther has confronted him while he's recreating a thing for the machine that's worn out. And he pulls a gun on him. It doesn't work. Doom has his lackeys drag him away. And then Dr. Doom gets incredibly racist.
Oh, yeah! Let's talk about that some more, in detail.
He talks about Panther and how he's a proud man and the most ignorant... also amongst the most ignorant of savages in Wakanda.
Right.
His people are but vicious primitives. But there's a touch of nobility there, a touch of a king. So
T'Challa is a king.
it's true, but Dr. Doom's a huge racist, and it doesn't matter what color of skin he has. If he's a good leader, he's a good leader.
Okay, you don't have to...
Well, you're defending the racist.
No, I'm not! What?
Anyways.
No, hang on. I am not defending racism. All I said is, okay, that's Dr. Doom for you. He's just got this highfalutin attitude about himself.
Okay.
You don't have to sell me on the fact that T'Challa is a good leader of his country.
Okay.
I know, duh.
Right.
He's rad.
But doesn't
Yeah,
Dr. Doom not work with Red Skull because he's a racist, though?
Because the Red Skull's a racist?
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons.
He's enslaved the Jews and all that stuff. And Dr. Doom's like, no, you're kind of an a-hole for doing that. But then he turns around and he's racist against black folks.
There's overt racism and there's casual racism. They're both bad.
Okay.
But there are levels here, okay? Dr. Doom is not a Nazi, which is super bad, like the Red Skull. Dr. Doom is still a supervillain, but and therefore has character flaws, because, of course.
Uh-huh.
But he's not as bad, even though he's still bad. Okay, do you see where I'm going with this? There are levels. There are levels. There are layers of this, okay? I'm not defending racism.
It just sounds a little bit like
I'm really not.
Okay.
I'm just saying he's not putting people in gas chambers, okay?
No.
He is with his words.
Oh my God. Can we go on?
Let's move on.
I can't believe you're coloring me like this. I mean, oh my God, Sean!
Yes! Anyways, Black Panther's dragged away, and Dr. Doom kind of turns back to his work, and then he's kind of interrupted and says, hey, there's something wrong. We need your help. The pile of vibranium is... if we do something wrong, it's going to blow up. We're all going to die. It's all going to go away. And then we have two of his henchmen kind of talking back and forth to each other in hushed tones about how, hey, Dr. Doom's insane. Maybe we shouldn't be following this guy around, especially if we're going to be drilling into another country. And the other one's like, yo, dude, shut up. You can't say things like that. He probably can read lips, and he knows exactly what we're talking about anyways.
Here's the thing. If I was a Dr. Doom's henchman, okay, first of all, poor life choice already.
Right?
But like, you have to know that he's like the top supervillain in the world. He's going to have listening devices probably everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I wouldn't say anything. Nope, Dr. Doom is A-okay with me. You know, I would, like, just shut up, Charlie, you know, or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, because he's going to kill you, duh. So.
And so Dr. Doom makes it back to where the problem is happening with the whole drilling thing. But that is also where they're keeping Black Panther. And so they get into a words fight about how...
A words fight?
Yeah, because they're not fighting.
They're
but they're like, arguing. Yeah.
They're having a disagreement.
They are having a disagreement. Black Panther saying, I'm going to get you for this, and Dr. Doom's going to be like, keep doing it, and I'll kill you.
Yeah, because Dr. Doom wants to go, is in Wakanda to get the vibranium.
Right.
And the Black Panther does not think he should get it.
Yeah. So Dr. Doom leaves to figure something else out, and Black Panther breaks the pipe that he's chained to, and he escapes. But then we have a flash,
pipe,
kind of sideways, to some people of Wakanda, and they're dealing with these massive earthquakes. And people are like dying. There's a truck turned over. A guy's trying to get his family out of the way so they won't get crushed by rocks. And so we see that, like, what Dr. Doom is doing is, like, terrible for everyone else in Wakanda. And he has no, like, qualms with destroying an entire country just to get what he wants.
Of course.
Yeah.
Can you imagine what a lame supervillain he'd be? Like, oh, I don't want to hurt those guys. You know, like, that's what, you know, what kind of makes you a supervillain. Like, you don't care, you know, about other people. It's all about getting what you want.
I wouldn't say that, because the rogues in the Flash's gallery don't hurt people. They just want the money. They don't kill people. That's like their rule.
Okay,
you don't kill people.
Okay, but I guess when I'm talking about, there are levels of supervillainy, okay? Mm-hmm. Those guys are street-level supervillains.
Okay.
Dr. Doom he rules a country.
Gotcha.
Okay, the power-mad villain, that level,
okay,
they're like,
right,
human life is inconsequential to my goals.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's going to be collateral damage, and I don't care.
Okay. They're digging deeper. Dr. Doom, like, hits one of his henchmen. And while that's going on, Black Panther snuck up and is, like, listening against the door, and he hears what's going on. And the henchman sneaks up behind him, and they get into a little scruffle. And the chains that are on Black Panther's wrist,
yeah,
he uses them like a whip thing, and he knocks a gun out of the other guy's hand. It's pretty cool.
That is really cool.
You
know what's not cool?
What's that?
Is Marvel's Essential Black Panther volume is like $100.
Wow.
Because it's out of print and, like, I don't know.
Yeah. I wonder why they don't print more of these.
Because clearly Marvel could make more money.
I guess that's true.
But they've discontinued the Essential volumes. They're not putting out anymore.
Really?
DC are still putting out the showcases, so good for you.
Yeah. I wonder why they would do. Why would they stop this?
Because they've got a newer format they're doing, and I can't. It's like the Epic Collection. These are like in color, and
okay.
I mean they're more expensive, but
right.
But anyway.
Yeah. So I was wrong. Black Panther is outside of the drilling machine.
Yeah.
And he's listening in on these
It's
guys.
just a drill machine, and it works for Dr. Doom.
He kind of holds Dr. Doom almost like hostage in his choices. He makes an ultimatum. Basically, you can continue drilling, and I'm going to shoot the vibranium, and it's going to blow everything up, and it's going to kill all my people, but it's better than you having it. Or you can just go home.
So Dr. Doom takes his drill machine and goes home.
Yeah. I didn't like this ending at all, because it wasn't a very heroish move by Black Panther.
Well,
He was
and
willing
like,
to sacrifice his entire people.
he wasn't really going to do that. But, I mean, don't you think Dr. Doom would call his bluff?
Yeah.
Like, really?
If human lives are inconsequential to Doctor Doom, he's going to do whatever it takes to get the vibranium.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if he kills everyone.
But if Dr. Doom was going to die in the process, he gains nothing if he's dead.
That's true.
So maybe he's pragmatically says, screw this.
But he leaves.
Yeah.
Yep.
Da, 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 da. Okay. He did. So, let's talk about the Doctor Doom story in Astonishing Tales number 8, which is from October of 1971. And the story is, and it's the last Doctor Doom backup in Astonishing Tales.
Okay.
But this is a good one. It's called Though Some Call It Magic, written by Jerry Conway, penciled by Gene Colan, and inked by Tom Palmer. Now, this story is significant because it introduces a very major aspect to Doctor Doom's mythology, or his story, is that every year he battles Satan, or Satan's minions, for the soul of his mother.
Mm-hmm.
And
right, because she was
a witch, yo.
Yeah, we'll get to it, but so the story starts with an old man leading Doctor Doom down into a dungeon that Doom has prepared to kind of do his like sorcery stuff and to summon the devil. And the old man leaves quickly, and we then go outside of the castle.
Yeah.
And there are a bunch of people. There's a priest and some people kind of looking up towards the castle where there's lightning and craziness going on. And they start talking about it, and they know what's going on. They know that Doctor Doom every year does something in the dungeon, and it's all going to end up bad one day.
Right.
And so we get a... sorry. Oh, this is where we find out. So we find out that his mother was a witch. We knew that already.
Yeah.
But she also died without having confessed, which is a pretty big thing if you're Catholic. If you die without being confessed, you are eternally damned.
But they were gypsies, so I doubt they were Catholic.
Right.
But comics.
Yeah. And so all these people are Catholic, and so they would believe whether or not she was a gypsy or not. If she died unconfessed, she would be eternally damned.
Okay.
So that's why he has to fight the devil to get his mother's soul back, because she died unconfessed.
Yeah.
So Doom is summoning the devil, and the devil's like, "Hey, you do this every year. You're never gonna beat me, especially this year, you know." And then he kind of puts an extra like tag on it. If you win, you get your mother's soul. If you lose, I get yours.
Ooh.
Yeah.
A little stank on it.
Yeah. And so the devil summons up this, he summons Kagrok the Killer.
Yeah.
He's like a stone demon monster thing. And Doom and Kagrok fight.
Yes. Wow, very descriptive.
Yeah. Kagrok's much faster than Doom, but Doom fights back, and he basically loses. He ends up using a technicality
to make it a draw, so he doesn't die or whatever.
He's able to use his force field, because fighting isn't just about brute strength.
Right.
Yeah, it's about having the foresight to know your enemy.
Mm.
And so it kind of comes out to a draw, and the devil's like, "Well, you didn't lose, but you didn't win either. So until next year." The old man comes back down, and
it's Boris.
Boris
is Doctor Doom's manservant.
I think it is. Yeah. It comes down, and he's like, "Hey, come on, let's get back up there. You can rest on my shoulder." And Doom kind of being a dick. He's like, no, I don't need your shoulder.
Yeah.
You're worthless. I'm great. And sulks off because he didn't win.
Yeah.
But he proclaims, perhaps next year when I am stronger, perhaps next year when I'm fresh. But he's thoroughly distraught that he wasn't able to save his mother.
Right.
Again. Yeah.
Sad.
So that's the end of that story.
Yeah. I've mentioned it before, but there's a great graphic novel with Dr. Doom and Dr. Strange called Triumph and Torment, where Dr. Doom enlists the help of Dr. Strange in this very endeavor.
Oh, right.
It's very good. Mike Mignola, who created Hellboy, does the art. It's excellent.
Yeah.
Nice. So, let's talk about our next issue, and it's Giant Size Supervillain Team Up #1 from March of 1975. And it's a couple of reprints with a new framing sequence, and I'll give the credits for that for right now. The framing sequence is called Encounter at Land's End, Submariner Rising. Okay, and it was written by Roy Thomas, penciled by John Buscema, and inked by Joe Sinnott.
Yeah. So we have Dr. Doom falling to Earth. The kind of intro is that when we look up at the stars, we see millions of them, and every once in a while one falls. We call it a shooting star or falling star, but not all falling stars are dead.
Okay.
Yeah. And it turns out that the falling star that we see in each panel is actually Dr. Doom.
Now, is this fresh from like a defeat at the hands of the Fantastic Four?
Yeah.
Okay.
It actually says what issue it was, Fantastic Four number 155.
Right.
And it was Silver Surfer and Dr. Doom were fighting.
Yeah.
And they ended up, like the ship they were fighting on in space blows up.
Oh,
and
okay.
it launches him towards Earth, and he kind of smacks down into the water.
Yeah.
And out of nowhere, this
we call that splashdown. Like when spaceships
right.
come back to the Earth.
A submersible ship comes up out of the water, and we find out that Submariner has found Dr. Doom in the water floating. We have a 2-page splash here.
That's really cool. Yeah.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
Dr. Doom floating in the water and the ship in the sky.
Now, and I love Namor's 1970s costume is awesome. He actually has a shirt and pants, and it's like more than just the Speedo. I'm like, I think it's a cool costume. I'm like, I never was into the Speedo, even though I'm really like Namor.
Yeah.
I like him just as a friend, I guess.
I think the fin things are kind of weird, but I guess
under the arms.
Yeah. But I guess if you're swimming under the water,
I think they're more just for accentuating like his amphibious nature, not like they're not functional.
Right. Okay.
I don't think. So, so Namor finds Dr. Doom.
Shocks him, brings him back. I guess he wasn't really dead, which Doom proclaims. You don't succeed, I live because I choose to.
That ego.
Yeah.
And so they're immediately started arguing.
Yeah. And they start kind of like Namor. They're about to fight, but Namor's like, "No, I want to be allies." And
so it's weird that Namor wants to enlist Dr. Doom in whatever he's doing.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Remember the last time?"
Right. And when we stood together, not even the vaunted Fantastic Four could do more than hold us at bay, which was in...
in Fantastic Four number 6.
Number 6, yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking that's the very first time.
Mm-hmm. It was also in Marvel Treasury Edition number 2.
Right, it was reprinted at that time. Yeah.
And so they start kind of talking, and they start actually reminiscing about the times that they've worked together or
tried to. Which leads us to that's kind of the framing sequence for the first of a couple of reprints, and the first is called In Darkness Dwells Doom, which is reprinted from Submariner number 20 from December of 1969, which was written by Roy Thomas, penciled by John Buscema, and inked by Johnny Craig. And Johnny Craig, as a penciler, was actually one of my favorite comic book artists of all time.
Wow.
His biggest claim to fame is in the 1950s. He worked at EC Comics.
Mhm.
He would do the covers and the lead stories for The Vault of Horror and crime suspense stories. Great artist, but he worked very slowly,
Oh.
and so his stuff is great. But I don't know how the guy made a living, because if he was only doing like 2 10-page comic stories like a month, I don't see how he's getting food on the table.
Right.
So weirdness. But anyway, I'm a big fan of Johnny Craig. But post the 1950s, he did come and did some work at Marvel, but just as an inker, they tried to have him pencil things like Iron Man and stuff, but he just couldn't get superheroes right. So he did a lot of inking work
Right.
at Marvel in the 70s.
This Vault of Horror is beautiful.
Oh, you're looking this up? Yeah.
December, January, number 28.
Oh, yeah, that's a great cover.
Yeah. Cool.
So that's probably what, 1952 or 3, I would imagine. But anyway, yeah, I'm a big fan of Johnny Craig's.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big fan of Wally Wood, and don't get me wrong, and many actually EC had probably the best stable of artists in comics at the time going, but yeah, I think even as much as a huge Wally Wood fan I am, if we're just talking favorite artists from EC specifically, I'm like, I gotta go Johnny Craig.
Wow.
I love those stories. So anyway.
Yeah, so back to Namor. Namor is actually on the run from the military in this issue.
Oh, and he's got a weird thing going because somebody sewed up his gills or something.
Yeah, they sewed up his gills. His wings on his ankles don't really work well anymore. So he's been drained of a lot of his power. And one of the things that has made it worse is that he's been outside of water for an extended period of time. And so even his strength has weakened. And so he's kind of going through the side streets, and there's a kid kind of looking out a window. He's like, "Oh man, my friends ain't never gonna believe that I saw Submariner doing the Hamlet bit," because he's like,
interesting accent
sad.
You just chose.
Yeah, whatever. Kid ends up falling out of the window, and Namor ends up saving him. He's like, "Even though I hate the land dwellers,"
he can't stand by and just watch somebody die or get hurt.
Especially a child.
Yeah,
And
so Namor is a good guy, even
Glad
though
to hear it, Dad.
Dad like he's a beatnik,
Yeah.
like Daddy-O,
Right.
which is a thing people would say at this time.
And so he's like, "Hey, I saved you. Now help me out and don't tell anyone you saw me." And he's like, "Okay." But then immediately the military kind of come around the corner, and the kid's like, "He went that way." And the kid's like, "Am I gonna get my picture in the paper?" No. "Sure are, kid. If we catch him."
Yeah.
So, kid's a little.
You know what? And kids but can you imagine? I think kids can often take serious things and treat them like a game too. And I think you could read into it that way, or you could just be a turd.
Yeah, I think he's just a turd.
Okay.
So the soldiers kind of corner Namor, and they're about to shoot him, and he just dives right in and punches the crap out of all of them. This is a pretty cool panel.
Yeah.
Of Namor punching the crap out of some soldiers.
I always enjoy these Namor or Captain America when it's just a dog pile of guys trying to fight him, and they're just punching their way, just mowing these guys down.
Right.
It's just always satisfying.
Mm-hmm. So they ended up not fighting him and decided, let's shoot him.
Okay.
And so they go to shoot him, and their rounds just kind of bounce off.
Yeah, kind of. They totally do.
But then Namor's cornered in an alley, and behind him is a metal fence, metal gate, and he tries to bend it, and even with his super strength, he is not able to bend these bars
because he hasn't been in the water,
right.
And so when he hasn't been in direct with contact, with water, his strength definitely wanes.
Mhm.
So
Yeah, so we end up seeing the gloved hands of a mysterious person using a kind of a remote box thing that ends up slowly opening the gate, and he's able to come through the gate and escape the soldiers, and then slam shut in the face of the soldiers. So he's able to get away.
yeah.
And soldiers are like, "We got to get in there. Let's just hop the fence."
And then
they're
there's CO says, "Do you know what building that is? We cannot go in there." And like dun dun dun, it's the Latvian embassy.
Yeah.
So the Submariner has walked directly into the clutches of Doctor Doom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so he kind of wanders around the house a little bit, and out of nowhere, like a machine kind of comes at him, shooting these like laser beams, and he picks it up and crushes it and destroys it. And Doom is like, "Good job! It was a test to see if you're really worth my time."
It's like, you've already teamed up with him before. You know what Namor's capable of. But this is Marvel Comics, and any two super characters who meet, the first thing you have to do is fight.
Right.
Even if they've met before.
Yeah, so we kind of we get all this stuff from Dr. Doom. I want to team up with you. We'd be, unstoppable.
We'd be swell pals.
Yeah. And at this point, I think Namor isn't necessarily as bad as Namor can be.
Yeah, because he definitely kind of goes between being kind of an anti-hero or a hero and definitely being, perceived as a supervillain.
Right.
So, he's in his book, The Submariner, he's definitely more on the side of the angels.
Gotcha. But he kind of makes a he proclaims that he will not harm any more land-dwelling people, and that his time...
Yeah, this week.
Right. His time fighting them is over.
Okay.
And so Doom ends up kind of offering him like wine or something. He's like, "No, I need water."
Right.
And Doom's like, "Well, if you're not going to join me, you're not going to get any water."
Yeah, and so he has like all the water like removed from the building, basically.
Yeah. Doom kind of like reminds him of the time they almost beat the Fantastic Four.
Right.
Almost. So I don't know what makes him think that he's going to win this time.
Because they have a newer, better plan.
Right. And so then...
you haven't been reading comics for long, have you?
Namor outright refuses and says, "I'll take water, but, I'm not going to help you."
Right.
And so Doom turns off all the water in the
yeah,
house,
and then tries to, just...
And, which ends up being important, he removes all the fire extinguishers with water.
Yes.
And then Doom and Namor fight. And it's pretty even. And then Doom summons some henchmen.
Yeah.
And Namor has to fight them. And there's a weapon that one of the henchmen has, and he fires it at Namor.
Yeah.
And Namor, it just kind of bounces off, and he's like, "But Dr. Doom said this would kill anyone."
Right.
Is this the same kit that...
No.
It's a different one. I have one accent, Sean.
I'm not sure why you're choosing to use that
I
accent.
don't
Like the guy
either.
from 30 Rock.
Oh my gosh, can we just go?
And so Namor grabs him, and he, passes out before he can do anything with him. Then Namor tracks down, Namor's trying to escape.
Yeah.
And Doom clicks a button, and the stairs turn into a slide, much like Scooby-Doo.
Right. Well, it's a typical trope of just haunted house
Right.
stuff.
Namor throws a chair at a window. There's bars on the window. He then tries to hit Namor or Doom with a chair, and Doom just kind of breaks it apart. Some kind of snake weapon thing with lasers on them come from the ceiling, and they end up taking down Namor.
Yeah, because they have dehydrated him even further.
Right. And Namor's down kind of for the count, and more henchmen come in, and they're about to drag him away, and we find out that Namor was faking, and he grabs one of the tentacle things and rips it in half, and it causes a massive fire.
Yeah.
Which was kind of a last-ditch effort on the side on Namor from Namor.
Yeah.
Can't talk.
And talking is kind of important on this show.
Yeah. Causes a fire, and then we hear sirens.
Yeah.
And he was hoping that causing a fire would get the firemen to shoot some water into the building.
Yeah.
And he would be able to absorb the water
Right.
powers, you know?
Yeah. Gain
so,
strength from the water.
Yeah. So he's able to fly again. He's able to, fight better, and he finally escapes. And he's free. He's a stranger in a strange land because he can't go back to Atlantis.
Because he can't breathe underwater because
Yeah.
his gills are all sewed up, which is weird. That's a temporary thing.
Right.
But yeah, and then he's, of course, a stranger amongst surface dwellers.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But then we have, continuing the framing sequence there, but what about this other time? And I don't think Namor, this is more of a Doctor Doom story than a Namor story, but it's Doom telling Namor this.
Right, yeah.
And this reprint is called This Man, This Demon, which is from
yeah.
Marvel Superheroes number 20, which is from May of 1969. And it was written by Larry Lieber and Roy Thomas. And then penciled by... about the first half of the story is written by Larry Lieber, and then he had to bow out, and Roy Thomas finished the writing.
Gotcha.
Same way with the first 10 pages, Larry Lieber did the pencils, and then the second half, Frank Giacoia took over, and then Vince Colletta inked the whole thing.
Gotcha. Yeah. So I do have an issue with this.
An issue with it, or a question?
I have an issue with it, but it'll come a little bit later. So the story starts off with Doom recreating old battles with
The Fantastic Four. By the way, Larry Lieber's doing an excellent job of emulating Kirby in these pages. It looks really nice. So.
Good eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they're fighting. But then at one point, the Fantastic Four 3D images kind of become more lifelike. And they actually attack the real Doctor Doom. Yeah. Which isn't supposed to happen. He kind of fights him off, and he's being put in kind of a... He fights off the Thing, he fights off... the
Human Torch, the Invisible Girl.
Yeah. But as soon as he turns on Mr. Fantastic, he kind of fades out, and poof, the Diablo shows up. Not the Diablo. Diablo shows up.
Yeah, there's no the. But yeah, Diablo. And Diablo is a bit of a classic Fantastic Four villain. He's menaced them a few times. He's like this alchemist who lived a long time.
Right. Master of alchemy, creator of chemical wonders.
Which is... Yeah, it's almost as lame as it sounds.
Yeah.
I kind of have a soft spot for Diablo, even though he's the greatest of lame villains. You know what I mean? Okay. There's a grandiosity to him, and what he can do is kind of interesting, but he doesn't seem like that much of a threat.
Right. In the poof panel, where Diablo kind of shows up,
when he makes his grand entrance.
Yeah, the outline of him looks cool, and then we have the panel of him. And his costume is ridiculous. He looks like a court jester. That does not scream Master of Alchemy Diablo to me.
Okay.
It screams, I'm gonna joke around with you a little bit.
Okay.
I'm
interesting.
Not very serious.
But
again,
was this the issue you were talking about?
Nope.
Okay. All right.
He ends up saying, I want to team up with you, Dr. Doom.
Yay.
And here's why. And he kind of gives him a demonstration of his power. Because Doom doesn't want anything to do with it, and so he fights him.
Yeah, because anytime Doom teams up with somebody, it's on his terms, and
Right.
he, does the summoning or whatever.
Mhm.
Nobody just shows up at Doctor Doom's house and like, hey, let's team up. That never pans out well.
Right.
So,
So Doom uses his expanding molecule weapon.
I love that weapon.
And Diablo
Turns the molecules into feathers.
Into feathers. Doom's like, fine, you'll take one of these, and he blasts him with his power beam. And Diablo just takes a pill first and becomes impervious to anything.
Sure.
And then Diablo says, I have an even bigger reason why you should team up with me. And he conjures, I guess, a woman in magic chains.
Yeah.
And he's like, remember who she is. And
this is like, Valeria.
Right. Yeah, it is Valeria. But this is my issue. So this is a flashback kind of thing with Namor and Dr. Doom. Doom's telling the story. But then Namor has this long flashback to when he was a kid.
Namor?
No,
Dr. Doom.
Dr. Doom does. And I'm just like, we know this story. Why do we need it again?
Because, gotta remember, this is this 1970s when this is being reprinted.
Right.
These giant-sized issues are... It's not like there's a thing called the internet or Massive having read lots of trade paperbacks.
Mm-hmm.
That's not a thing yet.
Okay.
So this is presented so if you don't know, now you will do.
Okay.
You will get that. So,
all right.
For someone who... That was your issue?
Yes.
Yeah, you're wrong.
I don't like flashbacks within flashbacks.
Well, and also the framing sequence for a reprint, that is a bit contrived. You could have just had giant-sized supervillain annual or something, and it didn't have to be two team-up stories. You could have said Titanic Tales, Doctor Doom, and the Submariner.
Right.
So it's a little awkward in this instance of it. Right. If you don't like flashbacks, you're really going to have a drag of a time reading Marvel Comics.
Okay.
So...
But we kind of find out why Dr. Doom was kind of a dick. His mother was killed, and then his father was killed. But then, like, he takes his whole heritage thing and is like, I'm gonna be a grand wizard. And he gives up on, like, a good life for a life of just gaining power. Which I don't know many people who would actually do that.
People who are in... Well, maybe I have this, whatever he had, but he wants more. Greed. The lust for power is unquenchable.
Alright. And so Diablo, we kind of go back to, we find out that Valeria was his love, and he gave her up so he can get power, and he broke her heart. Diablo, you remember Doom? You did this, and if you team up, you can have her back. And Doom's like, I don't need her. I am powerful. I am all these things. And then he kind of like, it starts like wearing him down, and he realizes, this isn't what I just want. I want her too.
Yeah.
But he then takes off his mask and he realizes how...
It's not a face that she could love.
Right. And
at least according to him.
Sean and I were discussing this yesterday. If Doom put as much time into curing diseases, advancing medical things, he would have a better face by now. He would be able to get a better face. Reconstruct his face through plastic surgery.
Yeah.
But no, he's wasting his time trying to take over the world when he could just have a normal face. And it's the thing that makes him realize, no, she'll never love me.
I don't know, but here's the thing. Disfigured man in an
face.
iron mask, that makes him way more interesting supervillain than handsome guy in an iron mask.
Okay.
I don't know. That makes him more mysterious. Why does he wear the iron mask?
See?
He's so beautiful under there. Why must he wear it?
See?
I don't know, guys. Okay.
Maybe Sean isn't so stupid.
Like Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right.
Ugh.
Exactly.
Let's just carry on, please.
Doom decides, nope, I don't need her. I am Doom. I take what I want. And if I want to be partners, I'll be partners. And so he kind of agrees to be partners with Diablo. And Diablo gives him like coordinates of where to go, and it's his castle in the United States. I think it was.
I can't remember, so just go, okay?
I think it was. But they're going to be able to take out, and they're going to become rulers of the world. Diablo has had, I think it's Reed Richards, recreate Doom's time machine for him. I don't know how he got him to do it.
Powers.
Right. Got him to do it. But Doom, flying over his castle, sees that it's just infested with soldiers.
Yeah.
And he can't have that. And so he immediately attacks them.
Sure.
And he takes out all of the soldiers quite quickly. And then Doom's like, your time machine, here it is. And Doom starts fiddling with it. But this is how they were going to rule the world. They were going to go back to important points in history, like the Civil War, and show up and use their powers to change the way the war ended and kind of fix things in their favor. They're going to do this in many different times and become rulers of the world. And Doom's like, yeah, we'll totally do that. But then he totally betrays Diablo and hits him with his beam.
Because he doesn't really want to work with Diablo.
Right. Doom steps on to this, like, special spot.
Yeah.
And Diablo's like, haha, fool, I'm going to send you away. And he tries to send Doom away using the time machine.
The time platform.
The time platform. But while Doom was fiddling with it, he changed some stuff, and it ended up sending Diablo away to the farthest extent of Earth's history.
He drops him off at the end of time, basically.
Yeah, where Earth has been destroyed by eons of warfare.
Yeah.
And Doom kind of monologues a little bit and says, to be the ruler of Earth forevermore.
But at the end of time where it doesn't matter.
Right. And then he turns to Valeria and he's like, but enough. I did this for you. We're free now. We can be together. And she's like, no. You just killed that guy.
You didn't do that for me. You know?
He did that for you because you're a jerk. And she, like, walks away from him. And he broods.
Yeah.
Yeah. But then
Def Leppard's "Too Late for Love" starts playing. No, but or like the Incredible Hulk "Sad" walking away.
Yes,
music.
exactly.
But yeah, it was too late. Too much time and stuff had come between them.
And it ended up not having anything to do with his scarred face. It ended up being the fact that he's a jerk.
Yeah, pretty much.
Which, good for her.
What?
Yeah.
Because,
Jerk.
let's be honest, what kind of relationship would that be if he's just an always jerk?
Right.
He's going to be a jerk to her.
Yeah.
She was protecting her own heart.
Yeah. Because there'd be a lot of like mansplaining and don't you worry your pretty little head about it.
Especially with Doom.
Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, so this starts part 4.
Which is, part 4 is just the finale of the framing sequence.
Right, yeah. And Doom basically says, look, if we were to become allies, one of two things would happen. I would betray you, or you would betray me. Eventually. No matter how long it lasts, we're going to end up betraying each other.
Yeah.
And so they fight. And it's basically a stalemate.
Yeah.
Until Doom he gets the upper hand, kind of.
Yeah.
By saying he was going to let the ship they're in careen off and be destroyed against some pillars of old Atlantis. And Doom's like, no, I'm out of here. And he, pushes a button and gets, launched out of the ship. And he gets launched to the surface, and he's like on land, and he's like, oh, and he's like fire, like there's crazy lightning hitting him.
You're talking about Dr. Doom?
Dr. Doom, yeah.
Okay.
He's like on a rock in this panel.
Yeah.
And he's like, even more energy. Yeah, it was crazy. Meanwhile, Namor kind of takes off, and he basically says, sooner or later, we're going to be allies, and we're going to take this place over.
Okay. Which place? The world?
The world.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Doom would end up using the Atlanteans like soldiers.
Sure.
Because Latveria doesn't really have a big military.
Yeah, but I mean, Dr. Doom could just make robots.
Right, yeah. But a robot Atlantean army, that'd be pretty sweet.
That would be sweet.
I would like to see that.
Me too.
Maybe we will.
Maybe. I haven't read a lot of these stories, so I couldn't tell you if that's a thing.
Sweet. Yeah, so remember to rate and like us on iTunes.
Rate and review us on iTunes.
What did I say?
You don't like somebody on iTunes.
Oh, you don't?
You can subscribe, which we already covered.
Yeah.
You're blowing this already.
Yeah. Like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter. Join us next week where we'll continue our discussion of Showcase Presents Green Lantern Volume 3.
Yay!